It was supposed to be safe here. Oakland County, suburban Detroit, tree-lined streets, soccer games, Saturday matinees. In 1976, it was the kind of place where you could leave your bike on the lawn, where kids ran free from sunup to sundown. But starting that year, children began to disappear. Good kids from good homes. They vanished from parking lots, sidewalks, neighborhood streets, and when they were found, it was worse than anyone could have imagined. They weren't just killed, they were held, cared for, and then murdered, posed like porcelain dolls. No arrests were ever made, no trial was ever held, and the monster or monsters behind it have never been caught. This is the Midnight Mystery Archive. I'm Kevin. Tonight we open one of Michigan's darkest files, the Oakland County child killer. It began quietly. February 15th, 1976. 12-year-old Mark Stebbins was last seen leaving an American Legion Hall in Ferndale, Michigan. He attended a Valentine's Day party for children. At around 1:30 p.m., he told his mother he was going to walk home. It was less than a half a mile, a distance he had walked dozens of times before. Mark never arrived. At first, it was assumed he had run away. Maybe he had gotten mad at something, stayed at a friend's house. It was the 70s. Stranger danger wasn't in the daily vocabulary yet. The police were concerned, but not panicked. 4 days later, Mark Stebbins' body was found in a snowbank behind a local office building. He was still dressed in the same clothes he wore the day he disappeared. The autopsy revealed chilling details. Mark had been restrained, he had been sexually assaulted, strangled with a ligature, but he had also been cared for during captivity, fed, bathed, redressed. He hadn't been killed immediately. Someone had held him, possibly for days. The discovery shocked Ferndale, but even then, it was treated as a horrifying but isolated crime. It wouldn't stay that way for long. In the months that followed, parents in Oakland County became a little more cautious. They walked their kids to the bus stop instead of just watching from the door. They double checked front door locks at night. But life went on. This was suburban Detroit. Bad things didn't happen here, not in their neighborhoods. Mark Stebbins was mourned, the town grieved, but after a while, the memory of that winter afternoon faded until it happened again. December 22nd, 1976. Nearly 10 months after Mark Stebbins was found, another child disappeared. Her name was Jill Robinson. She was just 12 years old. Jill had argued with her mother about chores that evening. She left home, riding her bicycle into the cold night. She never came back. On Christmas morning, Jill's body was found along Interstate 75. She had been shot in the face at close range, but her body was carefully placed, positioned neatly beside the road, as if someone wanted her to be found. The horror deepened. Jill was clean, dressed in her own clothes, just like Mark Stebbins before her. She had been cared for before she was killed. Barely a month later, on January 2nd, 1977, 10-year-old Kristine Mihelich vanished from a 7-Eleven parking lot. She had walked there alone to buy a magazine. She never made it back home. Her body was found 19 days later, left along the side of a rural road in Franklin Village. She had been smothered, She was fully clothed, clean, and positioned as if laid out with care. Next came Timothy King. March 16th, 1977. Timothy, just 11 years old, borrowed 30 cents from his sister to buy candy at a neighborhood drugstore. Witnesses remembered seeing a young boy talking to a man near a blue AMC Gremlin parked outside. 6 days later, Timothy's body was found in a ditch in Livonia. Like the others, he was washed, redressed, and posed. His cause of death? Asphyxiation. His skateboard, the one he'd brought to the store, was missing. By now, it was undeniable. Oakland County was being hunted. All the victims were children, age ranges from 10 to 12 years old. They were abducted from public areas, parking lots, streets, neighborhoods. They were held for days, not immediately killed. They were fed, bathed, and redressed. Someone had planned this. Someone was patient. Someone was choosing their victims very carefully. Fear was rising. Parents clutched their children tighter. Bicycles sat unused in garages. Schools tightened security. The freedom of suburban childhood, walking to the store, playing in the park, was gone. Somewhere out there, someone was watching. By the spring of 1977, the children of Oakland County were under siege. Hundreds of law enforcement officials from local, state, and federal agencies had joined the manhunt. Task forces were formed, roadblocks went up, composite sketches were drawn and broadcast on the evening news. Witnesses had seen something. A man in his late 20s or early 30s, shaggy hair and sideburns, driving a blue AMC Gremlin with a white stripe along the side. Tips flooded in. Psychics offered visions. Citizens volunteered to search woods and fields, but no arrests were made. The composite sketch became iconic in Michigan. A white male, 25 to 35 years old, shaggy hair, clean shaven, slim build. For years, the image haunted missing persons posters, newscasts, and the imagination of parents. But sketches are not evidence, and the police, they were running out of leads. Then came the name Chris Bush. Bush was the son of a wealthy General Motors executive, arrested in 1977 on multiple child molestation charges, including in nearby areas. He was briefly considered a suspect and then released on minimal bail. Weeks later, Chris Bush was found dead in his family home, shot between the eyes in what was ruled a suicide. But the scene was strange. No gunpowder residue on his hands, a bloody ligature like those used on the children nearby, a crude sketch of a screaming boy pinned to his wall. And despite these findings, Oakland County officials declared his death unrelated to the Oakland County child killer case. Over the decades, multiple theories have surfaced. Theory 1: Chris Bush was involved and possibly part of a larger ring. Theory 2: the killer was someone well respected, a trusted member of the community. Theory 3: there was not one killer, but a network of predators covering for each other. Theory 4: law enforcement or powerful individuals buried key evidence to avoid scandal. Some families, including the King family, believe they were deliberately misled, that someone, somewhere, knew more than they admitted. Today, the task force files span thousands of pages, but no definitive answers lie inside. Theories multiplied, suspects faded, and the children, Mark, Jill, Kristine, and Timothy, became symbols, not of closure, but of questions. Because the Oakland County child killer was never caught. Decades have passed since the streets of Oakland County first fell silent, but the shadows left behind have never fully lifted. The families of Mark Stebbins, Jill Robinson, Kristine Mihelich, and Timothy King never stopped fighting. They held press conferences, marched at vigils, sat across from detectives in stale, fluorescent lit rooms year after year, decade after decade, asking for answers. Some, like Barry King, Timothy's father, became fierce advocates. They accused law enforcement of negligence and worse. They demanded transparency. They demanded action. They demanded justice for children who were never old enough to demand it themselves. Despite new technologies, DNA testing, forensic genealogy, no confirmed match has ever been made. Suspects have died, memories have faded, and still the same questions remain. Was the killer someone respected? Was there a network shielding the truth? Did the case die or was it buried? The Oakland County child killer didn't just steal 4 lives. He stole something bigger. He stole the illusion of safety, the idea that suburban streets were immune to evil, that childhood was invincible. Parents never looked at a bike left on a sidewalk the same way again. A missing child poster became a screen, pasted onto every telephone pole. A simple trip to the store became a decision weighted in fear. 4 children were taken. 4 families were shattered. And somewhere out there is a name or names still unspoken. Maybe the killer died decades ago. Maybe the secrets are locked away in old evidence boxes forgotten in basements. Or maybe there are still people who know the truth and choose silence. This has been the Midnight Mystery Archive. I'm Kevin. Thank you for joining us as we reopen the case of the Oakland County child killer. Until next time.